The Omega bride was sent to the wrong pack, until the Alpha's little girl whispered, "The moon sent you to us." I still feel the ghost of his grip on my waist, the moment he caught me before I hit the ground, the heat of him, the warning in his breath, the way his presence pressed against every weak place I didn't know I had. Why did my body answer him when I wasn't even his bride? Why did his touch feel like something I'd been running from and running toward at the same time? And why, when his eyes locked on mine, did I feel a pull so fierce it nearly dragged a sound out of my throat? I came here expecting punishment, not a moment that made my knees weaken under a stranger's strength. But maybe that's the real question. What happens when the Alpha you weren't meant for feels like the only one your soul recognizes? Welcome back. Rainmakers, this is Rain Romance Library. If this opening already has your heart doing things it shouldn't, hit that subscribe button, send your hypes. Don't let this story leave you behind. All right, come closer. Episode 1 begins. They delivered me at the wrong gates. I knew it the second the wagon door opened and the wind hit my face. Colder, sharper, thicker, with a kind of silence that wrapped around my ribs like a warning. North Bane Pack. A territory whispered about, not spoken of. A place cursed and ruled by an Alpha who hadn't accepted a bride since the night his mate died. Which meant one thing: I wasn't supposed to be here. When the guards pushed me forward, my legs trembled so badly I had to lock my knees. The pack warriors watched me with expressionless faces, their wolves hovering close beneath their skin. Not curious. Not amused, just waiting. I lowered my head, ready for whatever mistake they believed I represented. But then everything shifted. Small footsteps broke the silence. Slow, soft, certain. A little girl stepped out from behind the Alpha's men. Small frame, tangled dark curls, wide eyes that looked like they carried more past than present. The Alpha's daughter, the one who hadn't spoken in 3 years. She walked straight toward me. Warriors tensed, guards stiffened. I held my breath, afraid even my heartbeat would scare her. She reached for my hand, her palm warm, tiny, trembling just a little, and when her fingers wrapped around mine, something like a spark jolted up my arm. Then she whispered. A real whisper. A whisper that cracked the entire pack wide open. The moon owed you to us. Every warrior froze. Every wolf stilled. The air itself felt like it held its breath. And then, him. The Alpha stepped forward. He wasn't loud. He wasn't gentle. He moved like a storm that had learned to walk on 2 legs. His eyes dragged over me, not with desire, not yet, but with a recognition I couldn't understand. As if he was seeing a ghost stitched into my skin. His bond mark, the one said to have died with his Luna, pulsed faintly across his throat. A soft burn of color where there should have been nothing. Something ancient stirred behind his stare. Something dangerous. Something pulled tight as if fate had been waiting for this mistake. This moment. I tried to step back. My body didn't listen. He came closer, stopping so near I could feel the heat rolling off him. The kind of warmth that steals air rather than gives it. "Who brought her here?" he growled to the guards. But his eyes never left me, not once. I swallowed hard. I wasn't meant for your pack." His jaw tightened. The bond mark flickered again. And in that instant, I realized something I wasn't prepared for. He didn't think I was the wrong bride. He looked at me like the universe had just corrected a wound he hadn't known how to heal. And deep in his daughter's small grip, her voice echoed again. Quiet, certain, claiming. The moon owed her to us. The Alpha's breath hitched, and whatever awakened in him that moment, wasn't going back to sleep. What awakened inside him spread through the pack in a single breath. One moment, warriors stood frozen. The next, wolves who hadn't flinched for years lowered their heads the instant I stepped forward. Not to him, to me. It happened so suddenly the alpha's eyes snapped toward his men, a flicker of disbelief tightening his grip on control. His daughter's small fingers refused to release mine, holding on as if she feared the world would split us apart. The bowing deepened. A ripple of instinct moved through the wolves, some shifting halfway, fur flashing beneath skin, pupils widening as if they were seeing something past flesh, something buried inside me. The alpha moved closer, slow, assessing, almost predatory, not threatening, not safe, just aware. His voice dropped, rougher than before. "What did they sense from you?" I shook my head, but even I felt it now, a pull, a hum under my skin, an ache that wasn't pain but recognition. The girl pressed her forehead to my arm. "Don't let them take her." A gasp broke from one of the older warriors. "She carries it! That's impossible! No one survived!" The alpha's stare sliced through them all, silencing the panic instantly, but the damage was done. The word they didn't finish hung in the air anyway. Bloodline. His gaze returned to me, sharper, darker, torn between suspicion and something he didn't want to name. He stepped closer. One step, then another. Close enough that the heat from him brushed along my skin, close enough that my breath caught without permission. His daughter kept holding my hand. He didn't pull her away. He didn't order her back. He just studied our joined fingers with a look that said, this moment threatened everything he thought he understood about fate. Behind him, more wolves lowered themselves fully to the ground, shoulders sloping, necks bared, submitting to something they didn't know they remembered. The alpha's jaw flexed once, then again. "This reaction," he murmured, almost to himself. "It hasn't happened since—" He cut himself off. Since what? Since who? He didn't finish. He wouldn't, but the heat that rolled through his stare made something inside me respond, something ancient and quiet, and waking like a spark catching breath. He inhaled sharply, as if scenting a truth he wished he couldn't smell. "Inside," he ordered, not gentle, not hostile, instinctive. His daughter tugged my hand, pulling me with her as if she was leading me somewhere she'd always known I belonged. And the alpha? He followed us. Not ahead, not behind. Right beside me, like a man walking next to a bond he couldn't deny, a danger he couldn't control, and a desire he couldn't explain. The moment we crossed the threshold of the main hall, the air shifted again, thick, tense, carrying a scent that didn't belong to Northbane territory. The alpha felt it first. His head snapped toward the doorway, eyes narrowing, shoulders tightening. His daughter's fingers clutched mine harder. I didn't even have time to breathe before a blur of movement cut through the shadows. Fast, silent, wrong. A man. No. A wolf wearing a man's skin, eyes blackened with intent. He came straight for me. Instinct shoved a scream out of my throat, raw, sharp, unguarded. The alpha moved before the sound even finished leaving my lips. One heartbeat. I was standing alone. The next, he was in front of me, slamming the assassin into the wall so hard the stone cracked. No strategy, no hesitation. Pure instinct, the kind that erupts when something threatens what shouldn't be touched. The attacker snarled, shifting halfway, claws scraping for the alpha's throat. He didn't reach it. The alpha tore through him with a force that didn't look human, didn't look practiced. It looked personal. A violence that came from the same place his bond mark had sparked earlier. The assassin collapsed to the ground, body shaking, breaths ragged. I stood frozen, my heart pounding so loudly it drowned the room. The Alpha stepped between me and the dying wolf, shielding me with his entire frame, breath harsh, posture ready to attack anything that moved wrong. His daughter hid behind my legs, shaking. The assassin's eyes rolled toward me. Blood spilled from his lips. His voice came out in a rasp that felt like a knife dragged across memory. You should have died with the others. The Alpha tensed. The man coughed again, weaker now. But his gaze locked onto mine as if he saw someone else layered beneath my face. He whispered a name, not the one I'd been given, not the one the auction documents used. A buried name, a forbidden name, a name that tasted like fire and grief, echoing through the hall like a ghost returned. Lyra. The Alpha froze completely, every muscle, every breath. Lyra, the name of the child who vanished the night his pack was cursed. The name of the bloodline that was supposed to be extinct. The name he hadn't heard spoken aloud since the massacre. He turned toward me slowly, as if afraid any sudden movement would break something fragile or ignite something unstoppable. His voice dropped low, too steady, too controlled. Why did he call you that? My throat tightened. I don't know that name. But even as I said it, something inside me flickered. Pain, heat, memory, something I couldn't grasp but couldn't escape. The Alpha stepped closer. Too close. Close enough that his warmth pressed against the panic shaking through me. Close enough that his breath brushed my cheek when he spoke. Someone sent that man to kill you. His eyes held mine. Dark, unyielding, burning with a promise that felt dangerous for both of us. And until I understand why, he murmured, you stay where I can reach you. His daughter wrapped her arms around my leg, burying her face against me. And the Alpha? He didn't step back. He didn't soften. He didn't hide the instinct raging through him. He stayed too close, too aware, too ready, as if one more scream from me would tear the whole territory apart. The assassin's body hadn't even cooled when it hit me. Not emotion, not fear. Something else, something that rose under my skin like heat searching for a way out. It wasn't gentle. It wasn't patient. It tore through me so suddenly my knees buckled. The Alpha caught me before I hit the ground, hands gripping my arms, pulling me against him with the same urgency he fought with moments earlier. Look at me, he commanded. I tried, but the world blurred, dipped, tilted, light flickering beneath my skin in sharp pulses that felt like they were trying to break free. His daughter gasped behind me, whispering, "It's waking." A crackling pressure pushed through my chest, spreading like fire along my spine. My breath hitched, my body arching toward the Alpha without meaning to. His hold tightened instantly, firm, anchoring, steadying me with sheer proximity. "What is this?" I choked out. He didn't answer. He couldn't. Because whatever was rising inside me wasn't meant to be controlled by logic or words. It was instinct, violent, ancient, explosive, and it reacted to him. Heat surged from me to him. His body answered before his mind could stop it. I felt it, the shift in his breathing, the tension sharpening his grip, the instinct in him recognizing something he wasn't ready to admit. Bond light. The dormant force I hadn't known existed in me, awakening like a flare striking oxygen. My back arched again, a soft sound escaping me, helpless and unguarded. The Alpha cursed under his breath and pulled me tighter, grounding me with the strength of his hold. His voice dropped, rough, strained, barely holding himself together. "Stay with me. Don't pull away." I wasn't pulling. The opposite. The power dragging through me pulled toward him, drawn to his heat. His steadiness, his dominance rising to meet mine, as if our energies recognized each other before we ever met. Pressure built in the air, thick and charged. My breath hit his throat. His breath shuddered against my cheek. His dominance instinct surfaced, dark, protective, overwhelming in a way that made my pulse trip. Not threatening, claiming without touching. The bond light surged again. This time, it collided with him, hard. A raw exchange of force, heat pressing into his body, his control snapping taut. He held me firmer, grounding the eruption inside me with the weight of his strength. No anatomy, just closeness. Heat. Tension that felt like it could tear the room apart. My fingers curled into his clothes. His hand slid to the small of my back. Steady, commanding, stabilizing the violent energy ripping through me. His voice dropped to a low rasp, inches from my ear. "Breathe. Let it move through you. Don't fight it." I didn't fight. I couldn't. The surge peaked, bright, consuming, euphemistic in the way it rolled through my body and into his, pulling a sound from him he didn't have time to swallow. Restraint snapped thin between us. Only instinct remained. Raw, electric, unavoidable. Then, the light broke, not outward, but inward. The force settled, collapsing into my chest with a final tremor that left my entire body trembling against him. The alpha didn't let go. He held me through the aftershocks, jaw clenched, breathing uneven. His daughter watched with wide, knowing eyes. "She's waking," she whispered. He didn't answer her. His focus stayed on me, too intense, too shaken, too aware of what just happened between us. And when he finally spoke, his voice was low enough that only I heard. "This was no accident. Someone tried to kill you because they knew what you were becoming." His words barely settled before his expression changed. Not anger, not confusion. Something colder, something haunted. His nostrils flared, just once, before his entire body went still. He leaned in slightly, as if scenting the space around me, and the shift in him was so sharp, it made my stomach drop. "No," he whispered under his breath. "Not possible." His daughter peeked up at him from where she held my hand, her voice soft, certain. "She smells like the one who was taken." My heart stumbled. Taken. Before I could ask what she meant, a pressure pulsed behind my eyes, sharp, blinding, like a memory trying to claw its way through the dark. A flash. Then another. Not of this hall. Not of Northbane. Another place. Another night. Running. Smoke. Hands pulling me away. A woman screaming my name. A name I didn't recognize but felt like mine. The floor tilted. Heat rushed through my skull. My breath broke. The alpha reached for me, but the moment he touched my arm, the visions hit harder. Images exploding through my mind, like someone had ripped open a locked door. A pack burning. Children dragged away. Wolves slaughtered in circles of flame. A woman with the alpha's eyes collapsing with blood on her throat. A girl carried through the chaos, small, terrified. Me. My legs buckled. I folded into him before I could stop it. His arms wrapped around me, instinct snapping into place, holding me upright as my body trembled against his. "Easy," he murmured, his voice tight. "Stay with me." But the visions didn't listen. Another flash, a hand over my mouth, a cold voice hissing, "Erase her! She must never be found!" I gasped, fingers pulling at the alpha's shirt as if I needed to anchor myself or drown in what I was seeing. His hold tightened. His breath hitched, just once, when the scent around me shifted again, rising like a ghost curling between us. He whispered it before he could stop himself. Luna? Not a question. Not to me. To memory. Because the scent wasn't mine. It was hers. His dead mate's. Faint, but unmistakable. His daughter pressed her face into my side, voice breaking in a way children's voices shouldn't. You came back. You came back for us. I shook my head weakly. I don't remember any of this. He pulled me closer, grounding the tremors shaking through me, but his eyes were haunted, torn between two realities. You shouldn't remember, he said quietly. They made sure you wouldn't. Before I could answer, a howl cut through the walls, sharp, panicked, carrying a warning that tightened the alpha's entire frame. Another joined it, then another. Voices shouted outside. Wolves shifting, chaos rising. Word was spreading. Too fast. Too far. She's alive. She's back. She wasn't supposed to exist. The alpha turned toward the door, positioning himself between me and whatever waited beyond it. His instincts snapping from conflicted to lethal in a single breath. He didn't look back at me when he spoke. Enemies are coming for you, more than before. His daughter clung to my waist. And the alpha, he didn't move away from me for even a second. The door slammed open before he could reach for the handle. An elder, ragged, half-shifted, eyes wild with something closer to prophecy than fear, stumbled into the hall. Warriors rushed after him, but he shook them off and dropped to his knees the moment his gaze met mine. Not to the alpha, to me. His voice cracked, ancient and shaken. Moon, keep us. She lives. The alpha stiffened beside me. His daughter pressed closer, small hand clutching my clothes. The elder pointed a trembling finger at me, breath hitching as if he'd waited years to see this moment. You are the last heir of the bloodline we failed to protect. My pulse stopped. He continued, voice breaking. The night your pack burned, Northbane was meant to shield you. We were chosen by the moon to guard your line. And when you vanished, when they took you, our bond shattered. The curse took root in the alpha's blood. The alpha's jaw clenched, but he didn't deny it. My chest tightened. I don't remember any of this. The elder nodded painfully. You weren't meant to. They erased you so completely, even the moon dimmed your presence. Another vision pulsed behind my eyes. Flashes of fire, hands dragging me away, a woman screaming my name through the smoke. The elder swallowed hard. Your return cracks the curse. Power stirs because the bond is reconnecting. The world feels it. That's why they hunt you. The alpha took a step closer to me, subtle, instinctive, protective. His daughter mirrored him. The elder bowed his head, forehead almost touching the floor. If she completes the bond that was meant to form when she came of age, the curse ends and the hierarchy changes forever. A sharp knock thundered through the hall before I could breathe. Warriors rushed in, tense, agitated. Alpha, one said urgently. The council is here. They demand the girl be surrendered immediately. The room went still. The alpha's posture changed in an instant, danger rolling through him like a shadow stretching across the ground. His daughter clung to me harder. The elder's voice dropped to a warning whisper. If you give her to them, they will finish what they started years ago. My breath caught. Why? Why erase me at all? The elder looked at the alpha, then at me, sorrow darkening his gaze. Because your bloodline carries a bond light powerful enough to strip an alpha of dominance, or strengthen him beyond anything the council can control. Either way, they lose. Outside, council guards shouted demands. Wolves growled in response. The territory trembled under the pressure gathering at the borders. The alpha turned slowly, deliberately, until his eyes locked with mine. He didn't speak aloud. He didn't need to. Everything in his gaze said it. They want you because you change everything, and if they take you, you won't survive. He stepped in front of me, blocking the council's line of sight, muscles coiled, voice low and lethal. Tell them, he ordered his warrior. North Bane surrenders nothing. But the council didn't leave. Their voices thundered across the courtyard long after the alpha dismissed them. Meetings followed, closed doors, whispers too low to catch, unless you stood close enough. And I did. I hadn't meant to overhear it. But as I passed the war room, his voice cut through the crack in the door sharply enough to stop my steps. If handing her over buys the pack time, he said, we consider every option. My blood ran cold. Time, options, me. A warrior responded, Alpha, the council says they only want to question her. A lie. We all knew it, but the part that sliced through me wasn't the council. It was him. The man who stood in front of me every time danger came. The man whose arms held me when the bond light surged. The man whose body answered mine without meaning to. My throat tightened. My fingers shook. He would give me up. The elder tried to argue. If she leaves this territory, she dies. Silence, a long one. Then the alpha's voice, quiet, strained. I know. Something cracked in me. I pushed the door open, hard. All of them turned, but I only saw him. His eyes widened a fraction, guilt flickering through the alpha who never showed weakness. So, that's your plan? I demanded, stepping into the room. Hand me over and hope they kill me quickly? His jaw tensed. That's not what I said. I heard you. My voice shook, not weak, but furious in a way I didn't know I had in me. He stepped toward me, slow, controlled. You heard one line taken out of your mouth, I snapped. Out of your choice. The air crackled. His warriors stiffened. The elder backed away. Even his daughter, standing behind him, watched with wide, worried eyes. But the alpha kept coming until the heat of him pressed against the anger rolling off my skin. You think I want to give you up? He growled softly. You were considering it. I was considering protecting my pack. By sacrificing me. His breath hitched, small, involuntary, the kind that breaks control more than shouting ever could. He reached for my arm. I pulled back. He reached again, faster this time, and his hand wrapped around my wrist. Not hard, not painful, but decisive. And that one touch. The room dropped away. Bond light flared between us, sharp and hot, ripping through the space where anger and hurt had lived seconds ago. My body stepped into him without permission. His grip tightened as if instinct took over faster than thought. Heat collided with tension. Fury twisted into something hungrier. His chest brushed mine. My breath hit his throat. He murmured, "You don't walk away from me when I'm talking." Something inside me buckled, not in fear, in recognition, in need I didn't want to name. His other hand slid to the small of my back, steadying, pulling, anchoring me to him as if the argument wasn't pushing us apart, but tearing open something forbidden. My fingers curled into his shirt. His breath shook against my cheek. The energy between us surged, violent, euphemistic, irresistible. He pressed his forehead to mine, voice thick with restraint fraying at the edges. Don't you understand? Letting you go would destroy me. Anger melted, hurt twisted, need rose, raw and overwhelming. My lips parted on a broken sound I didn't mean to make. His body answered instantly, tension snapping, dominance rising, his grip firming like he was fighting every instinct that told him to claim what stood in his arms. The heat built, pressure against pressure, breath against breath, something ancient pulling us closer with every second he refused to step back. Then he stopped, not because the desire faded, because control shattered hard enough that he had to wrench himself away to keep from crossing a line neither of us could undo. He released me like it cost him a piece of himself. Stepped back as if distance was the only barrier left between restraint and surrender. His breathing was unsteady. Mine was worse. "You don't understand," he said quietly, voice hoarse. "I wasn't choosing them over you. I was choosing the only plan I thought I had left." I swallowed hard, still trembling. "And what now?" He looked at me like he was trying to rebuild every decision he'd ever made around this single moment. "Now," he murmured, "I stopped considering anything that ends with you gone." I hated how much relief hit me, how much I wanted him to pull me back, how much my body hadn't forgotten the heat of his. But he didn't touch me again. He stood there, torn, restrained, wanting, and the ache inside me only sharpened. He had almost given me up, almost lost me. And for reasons I wasn't ready to admit out loud. The thought of losing him hurt more. The door slammed open before either of us could breathe. Council guards stormed the hall, armored, armed, uninvited. Their leader stepped forward, voice cold. "We're taking the girl, now." The Alpha moved instantly, positioning himself between me and them without hesitation, the heat from our argument still clinging to him like barely contained storm. "You step closer," he warned, "and you die on my floor." The guard ignored him. He reached out, straight for me. I didn't even have time to react. A scream split the air. His daughter. A sound so raw, so panicked, it felt like it reached inside my ribs and yanked the breath from my lungs. She ran to me, throwing her arms around my waist, shaking violently. "Don't take her," she sobbed. "Don't take her. Don't!" The guard's hand brushed my arm. Everything exploded. A burst of power, silent but violent, shot through the room. Light cracked around us like lightning without sound. The guard screamed, stumbling back as his hand twisted unnaturally, bones snapping under an invisible force. He collapsed to his knees, clutching the shattered limb, staring at me with horror. "She's awakened," he choked. She's not supposed to." Wolves roared. Warriors rushed in. Chaos erupted instantly. The little girl clung to me harder, crying so fiercely her small body shook against mine. Her voice broke with every breath. "Don't leave! Don't leave! Please, don't let them take you!" The Alpha looked at her, really looked, and whatever fight was left in him froze. His daughter hadn't spoken for years. Now she screamed like losing me would destroy her. Council guards raised weapons. The Alpha stepped forward, dominance erupting through the hall like a shockwave. "She stays!" His voice shook the air. It wasn't negotiation. It was a declaration powerful enough to drag silence across the room. Council guards hesitated, then retreated. But not in surrender, in warning. The council's withdrawal lasted less than an hour. Then the horn sounded. 3 long blasts. The signal every wolf recognized. Northbane had been declared rogue. Warriors rushed to the borders. Howls rose across the territory. Enemies gathered in the trees, shadows moving between the pines like a tightening noose. Inside the hall, visions tore through me. Harder, clearer, crueler. A burning pack, children dragged by masked men, a woman throwing her body over mine, a mark carved into the ground, a symbol of betrayal. The Alpha gripped my shoulders, steadying me as a vision collapsed my knees. "What do you see?" he demanded, voice sharp but laced with fear he couldn't hide. Faces, flames, a sigil smeared in blood, a man in Northbane armor, a man giving the order to erase my bloodline, a traitor. My voice came out shaking. "One of your own helped destroy my pack." His jaw clenched hard enough to crack. "Show me," he said. Another vision slammed into me. Wolves dragged into cages, children silenced, my mother begging the moon to hide me, and him, the traitor. I gasped, gripping the Alpha's shirt, my body trembling under the force of the memory. "He's still alive," I whispered. "He knows I survived." The Alpha's eyes darkened, shifting with something close to murderous promise. Then he dies. Outside, the pack roared, warriors lining the borders, preparing for the council's army. The ground vibrated under pounding paws, the scent of steel and blood thickening in the air. The Alpha pulled me close, not gentle, not soft, but protectively fierce. "They want to take you," he said quietly. "They want to finish what they started. They want to tear apart what this bond is becoming." His breath hit my cheek, warm and unsteady. "And I swear on everything I am, they will get to you only over my dead body." His daughter slipped her hand into mine, standing between us with trembling resolve. Outside, enemies circled tighter. Inside, the bond light pulsed like a heartbeat between our chests. War was coming. For me, for him, for all of us. And the Alpha had made his choice. The moment his choice settled over the territory, everything inside me cracked open. Not gently, not slowly. The bond light surged with the force of a storm ripping free of its prison. My breath hitched, sharp, unsteady, my vision blurring at the edges as heat coiled beneath my ribs in violent, uneven waves. My knees buckled before I could warn him. The Alpha caught me instantly. My hands fisted in his clothes as the power rolled through me, unpredictable, dangerous, too strong for my body to contain. His voice dropped to a raw whisper against my temple. "It's unstable. You're burning from the inside out." Another surge hit. My body arched into him, helpless under the intensity flooding my veins. "Look at me," he commanded, pulling me flush against him, grounding me with every inch of his strength. And when I looked, everything broke. The bond light struck him like lightning. His body tightened. Mine answered. Heat collided with restraint. Instinct slammed into instinct. He inhaled sharply, his control shattering for a split second as the force inside me dragged his dominance to the surface. His hand slid to my back, firm, anchoring, drawing me closer as if the bond itself demanded our bodies erase the space between us. "Stay with me," he murmured, voice rough, strained in a way that sent a tremor through my core. "Don't pull away now." I wasn't pulling. Every part of me leaned into him, trust, need, fear, desire, blurring together until I couldn't tell where I ended and the bond began. The surge hit again. This time I gasped, sound soft, broken. Pressing into him like the only thing keeping me standing was the weight of his body holding mine steady. He cursed under his breath, low and harsh. Then instinct took over. He lifted me slightly, guiding me backward until my spine met the wall, his arms bracketing me in a way that wasn't trapping, but stabilizing the wild energy tearing me apart from the inside. His forehead pressed to mine, breath shaking, dominance coiling tight beneath the surface. "Let me ground it. Let me ground you." The bond answered before I did. A pulse of heat burst between us, raw, pleading, euphemistic in its intensity. I let go. Just enough. And he reacted. Not as alpha, not as leader, as the man whose instincts had been chained for years and were now being ripped open by the one person who could match them. His grip tightened at my waist. My fingers curled into him. Weight met heat. Heat met surrender. His breath dragged across my cheek, unsteady, hungry, controlled only by the thinnest thread. "Trust me," he whispered. I did. The power surged, and he caught every wave. His control cracked with each pulse, dominance weaving around my unraveling strength until the tension between us wasn't anger or confusion anymore. It was inevitability. Heat rolled through us like a tide. My power sparking against his control, his restraint breaking in staggered breaths, my body releasing into the bond, his instincts answering with raw precision. His forehead dropped to my shoulder as a sound escaped him. Soft, low, the kind a man makes when the person he's trying not to want becomes impossible to resist. The bond ignited. A flash, a pull, a breath stolen from both our lungs. Not completed, not sealed, but close. Dangerously, irreversibly close. His hands stayed on me even after the light dimmed, his breath still rough, his control pieced together only by force of will. I trembled against him. He didn't step away, not this time. He kept me anchored against his chest, voice low and shaken. "If this keeps going, neither of us will stop." His words still hung in the air when a scream tore through the hall. Not mine, not a warrior, his daughter. Both of us snapped toward the sound. Instinct erased every thought in his head, and every residual tremor in mine. The alpha moved first, wolf fast, violent, terrified without saying a word. I followed, the bond light still simmering under my skin, unsteady but alive. We reached the courtyard and froze. A man stood there holding the alpha's daughter by the arm. A man in Northbane colors. A man the alpha trusted. A man whose face flashed through my visions again and again. The traitor. He looked at the alpha with hollow certainty. "You should have let the council take her. The bloodline should have died the first time." The alpha's voice dropped into something lethal. "You were there." "I saved you," the traitor hissed. "Don't you understand? If her kind rises, the moon rewrites everything. You lose control. We lose order. This pack dies." His daughter sobbed, reaching toward me. "Don't let him, please." He raised a blade to her throat. Heat detonated behind my ribs. Not fear, not panic, power. Bond light ripped through my spine like fire racing upward, unstoppable, violent, ready to consume anything that touched her. I stepped forward. The alpha grabbed my wrist. "Your energy isn't stable." "I don't care." The power surged. He felt it. His grip tightened. The bond pulled. His eyes widened as if he sensed what I was about to do. But I didn't stop. The traitor dragged the girl back. Her scream cracked like something breaking inside her chest. My entire body answered. I raised my hand, and the world lit up. A blast of raw, uncontrolled force ripped from me, striking the ground at the traitor's feet, sending stone and dust exploding upward. He stumbled, losing grip on the girl. The alpha lunged, grabbing his daughter, pulling her behind him. I unleashed the second wave. Bright, violent, almost blinding. The traitor flew backward, crashing into the wall with a force that sent cracks spiderwebbing around him. But the energy didn't stop. It kept burning, kept climbing, kept tearing out of me like it wanted to destroy everything. My legs shook. My vision swam. The heat was too much, too strong, too wild. I felt myself tipping, collapsing, the bond light roaring too loudly to hear anything else. The Alpha caught me before I hit the ground, cradling me against him as if he feared I would vanish between one breath and the next. His voice shook. "Don't burn yourself out. Stay with me. Stay." But the world was already dimming. The final attack began while the Alpha held me in his arms. The Council, rogues, traitor loyalists, all converging in one violent wave, shadows moving through the courtyard as the sky darkened above us. I tried to rise. My body failed. My power, the very force that saved his daughter, cracked inside me, sputtering like a flame drowning in its own intensity. "I can't," I whispered, breath breaking. "I can't stand." He didn't let me try again. The Alpha lifted me into his arms and walked straight toward the battlefield, carrying me like the only thing that mattered. Every warrior parted for him. Every wolf followed. "Why?" I gasped weakly. His grip tightened. His voice dropped to a vow. "Because if I lose you now, nothing else matters." The bond light flickered again, a dying flame. He felt it. He felt me slipping. So he did the one thing instinct had been screaming for since the moment I arrived. He pressed his forehead to mine, voice shaking with the force of the choice he'd been running from. "I'm not letting you go. Not to them. Not to fate. Not to the curse." Another surge of power tore through my chest. Painful, collapsing, final. He held me tighter. "Then complete it," I whispered, barely conscious. "Complete the bond." The air stilled. His breath stopped. "Then?" He pulled me closer, grounding my body against his, the heat between us rising in a tide that swallowed every wound, fear, and fracture. My fingers curled weakly around him. His voice broke. "Stay with me, please." The bond ignited, not like before, not unstable, not wild. This time it erupted in a euphemistic, breath-stealing burst, heat and instinct and surrender twisting together, a connection so absolute it carved itself into the air around us. Power exploded across the battlefield. Wolves fell to their knees. The sky cracked with light. The curse shattered. A soundless break that rippled through every wolf in Northbane. The traitor lunged one last time. The Alpha stepped between us. The bond flared. The traitor fell, lifeless, never touching either of us again. The Council dropped their weapons, eyes wide with terror and awe. The Alpha's daughter ran to us, curling against my side, whispering through tears. "You came back to us. You won't leave again." I looked up at the Alpha, power humming through our completed bond, his breath warm against mine, his eyes softened by the gravity of what we'd become. We stood not as fugitives, not as a mistake, not as a bride wrongly delivered, but as the pair destined to reshape the hierarchy itself. His hand slid around my waist, steady, certain. "We rebuild everything," he murmured. "Together." And the bond answered him like destiny finally falling into place.